Hey there. This last week, I did a podcast with Tristan, one of the most impactful leaders in the real estate industry today. In this podcast, we talk about some of the stuff that's important with building a team and a few other things. Stay tuned and enjoy the discussion. Hey, this is another episode of Going For It with James B. I am James Becker, the CEO and founder of Fusion Growth Partners. I am going to share with you the podcast that I did with Tristan of Lab Coat Agents, and I hope that you really enjoy the conversation.
Hi, everybody. Welcome. We've got James Becker here, and we're going to be talking about team building problems, really the plan for 2025. If you don't know James, he runs a great company. It's Fusion Growth. It's absolutely essential to a lot of agents' business. And I love that he's been able to grow this over the last years in really focusing on the problems that agents have and being the solution for that. So if you're interested or if you don't know about it, we'll put up a link here. But for now, James, let's talk about this, man. Where do we start with this whole plan to level up our businesses for 2025?
Well, I think, for years now, the whole focus has been on building teams, right? And I think there's a question of why even build a team? Why would you do that? And I think the essential answer that I have for that, Tristan, is that if the business does not develop the ability to act on its own without the business owner operating all the daily activities, the business is not a business. It's simply a job. And so if somebody wants a job in real estate, a commission sales job in real estate, that's fine. You don't have to have a team. And there's a lot of problems with having a team, for sure. And sometimes I think people that have teams wish they were just selling real estate again.
Yes, I've seen that.
Yeah, but the realities is that, real estate sales for most people is a burnout game. There's only a few freaks of nature that are able to produce over and over and over again and be a solo producer and not get burnt out. And frankly, I've never seen a guy do it. I've only seen women fit that mold. And I've only seen actually mothers do it.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
But they're few and far between. And you have all these people who want to be out of production. They want to help other agents do business, want to be coaches. And this is why, I think we get paid well for doing what we do, is because this is a really hard business and it's hard to sustain it. And it's hard to deal with the anxiety. And I'm just running off at the mouth here. I didn't have any of this planned.
No, that's okay, man, because the burnout, you hit a lot of people right in the face with that. Because yes, you and I talk to a lot of agents, and the number one thing is the challenge of what they call a balance, and saying, hey, I need to find a balance to this. I can't go at 100% all the time because I have a life and I want to live it, right? And
Yep.
This is where the burnout happens. And for the plan for 2025, where do we start to not have the burnout or to lessen that? James, what have you found is important?
Let's talk about this. This is going to be a good conversation because a lot of your business is lead generated business that comes in that you nurture over a period of time. Mm-hmm. And we advocate for our agents to focus on branding to a sphere of influence and just marketing at a very high level and provide really high level of services. And I think that we want our clients to do two things: make friends and serve people. And the serving people isn't necessarily just in real estate. That's serving the community. That's being the soccer coach. That's being the soccer mom. That's being the PTA parent, whatever the case may be, being someone at the church that's doing things or whatever religious sect that you're a part of, but you're serving people and you make friends that way. And then you let your friends know what you do. You provide a high level of service. And so, and here's the point, when those people call you,
Mm-hmm.
that call is to come list my house.
True.
It's not an interviewing call. It's not where they're trying to avoid you. They have made up their mind. I don't know what the most recent statistics are, but I think it's still 70 to 80% of people who list their home only call one agent. And they've already made up their mind through the marketing. It's not even a sales process, it's a marketing process. If you can get to the kitchen table, I mean, how often do you get to the kitchen table, Tristan, or your people and not take the listing? I mean, it's rare.
Yeah, it doesn't happen often. I agree with you.
Yeah. So the fight is to get to the kitchen table. But if you're dealing with people that respect you as a person, which people on the internet do not, right?
Yeah, you start lower in the totem pole for sure.
Yeah, I think that that is one way of doing it. Now, someone who's brand new in a brand new area, you're going to have to go cold call, door knock, expireds, internet leads, whatever the case may be.
Mm.
But I think that's the main thing, is dealing with people who treat you with respect. And typically you're going to find those in a community that you are branding to, that you have a reputation. The hard part about that is you actually have to be a good person and provide value when you provide services, because otherwise it gets out. What do you think? I mean, you've been doing this a
No,
long
I
time.
agree.
What do you think is the key to?
Well, I love that you said that your agents, so you run this awesome company, right? Where you guys do a lot of the heavy lifting so that agents can focus on creating relationships. And I love that you said the agents' jobs are making friends and serving people.
Make
And
friends are actually trademarked.
I love that. That's the first time I had heard that before from you, like together, right? And the first thing I thought was I wrote a question after. I go, well, how do we get there? Right. And my first thought was, well, I need leverage. I need help. Right. And this is why we go back to the very beginning. This is why most people burn out, right? We burn out because we're trying to do everything. And then this job as a real estate agent, and I think this is why mom succeeded at a high level, like you said, in this job as a real estate agent, we wear so many hats, right?
You know, I think it's so funny. I think moms, all the kids go to the moms when they need something, right?
That's
They don't go to the dads. There's a comedian says, you know, the school called the dad and says, you know, what bus is your kid on? He goes, do you know you called the dad? I don't know what, but I don't even know what school he goes to, right? You got to call the mom. But the mom goes out, earns the income, and these high producing women, they're the breadwinner, and then they take care of everything at home. And so there's never a day off for these people, but they learn how to manage this workload and do it. Those are the freaks of nature. But I really believe that willpower and discipline is very important when you start. But willpower and discipline is not sustainable unless you start to leverage other people and technology. Absolutely discipline, willpower, doing what you're supposed to do to start, to get some free cash flow. But that free cash flow has to be reinvested, because you only, unless you're one of these people that are a freak of nature, you only have so much time before you burn out. And you have to build a machine behind you to carry at least a part of the load. I think.
No, you're right. Where will we start? So if we're making this plan and saying, okay, I want to start building this machine, what's the first thing that we should outsource to a hire or to somebody we're going to bring in to help us part-time, or maybe even teaming up with another agent and saying, hey, you do this, I'll do this? What would be that first thing? Do you have something in mind?
You know, I think it depends on the person, but I would not team up, and we can talk about that a little bit more. I have rarely seen teams survive past 2 or 3 years, where
Team
there is a
partner.
partnership.
Oh,
Yeah,
partnership. Got it.
there is a partnership. And we can talk a little bit more about that. I have a plan on how that could be potentially can go out further, but somebody typically needs to be the boss. Somebody needs to have the responsibility. And I think Gary Keller's building a team starting with administrative types of things is absolutely critical. I hired my first person, young gal, and I hired her and because everyone said you need to hire someone. So she goes, I'm here. And I said, well, I don't know what I'm going to have you do. Just follow me around.
I did the same thing. I'm like, do something because I don't know what to tell you.
So then I started realizing, okay, this thing I can hand off. So wait, I can have her do this thing. The key to this, Tristan, is creating systems, procedure, and processes so that when that person goes away, you can then take somebody else who is competent and put them in there. So anybody who wants to build a team, I highly recommend Michael Gerber's book, The E-Myth. It is by far the essential book. The first time I read it, I felt like someone hit me across the head with a 2x4. It's like, duh, it's so in front of our face, but so many of us don't see this key element that it's not people, it is the systems and processes, and that you hire people to run those systems and processes. And I have a deal with my employees.
Mm-hmm.
I have people who've been with me 25 years. That's one partner that's been with me for a long time, Louis Schutte. But I've got people who've been with me 10 years, 12 years, 8 years. But a lot of people are going to get other opportunities and they're going to go somewhere else. And so I want the relationship. At the end of the relationship, I want that employee to have made my business better by the time they leave. And it's my job to teach them and to give them opportunities so that they're better leaving the relationship at the same time. And then that way you don't have to worry about keeping everybody and controlling everybody. It is a spiritual agreement that we're going to try and make each other the best we can so that they can go off and have more skills for the marketplace.
I heard two things on this. First, I put the book, great book, James E-Myth. There it is. Put it in the link. But I heard two things from you that I agree with where we would start. And I would say we would even start with mindset first, because you're saying, well, you've got to have an idea of where this is going and how it's going to end, right? Or how this grows. And if you don't start with the idea that you're going to have challenges and you're going to have growth problems and you're going to have disagreements, you're not going to last very long. So I think having the right mindset of where you're going, it's going to be very hard. I think that should be the first realization with this. It's going to be hard, and you may want to quit multiple times a week, multiple times a day. But as you get better at this, and number two, which is the one you said, it's like, let's bring in someone to help you out. That'll then allow you to be like, okay, this is getting a little bit better. I like it, right? I'm understanding this. You hired an admin, I hired an admin. I didn't know what to do with my admin like you. I was like,
right,
I guess just follow me.
So what I come down to, Tristan, that I've written in my business plan for people, which is a lot of what we do. We write systems, procedures, and processes, and then my company executes it for the agent so that they don't have to do it. But if you're doing it on your own, what you would do is the agent has to invest the time to write a standard operating procedure, also known as an SOP. And so they write that SOP in as much detail as possible. For example, turn on the computer. It is the button on the top right-hand side of the computer. Go to the bottom of the desktop, open up this program. When that comes up, so you have to write it in just excruciating detail. But that will save so much more time when you have to replace somebody. Once you have that SOP written, you train somebody to do it, and now you fire yourself from that job. So the SOPs you should be doing are those things that require the
Mhm.
least amount or generates the least amount of economic opportunity. And so you start at those bottom ones and you just start firing yourself, but you do not have the ability to fire yourself until this is where the discipline comes in, until you have written that SOP and you've trained somebody to do it.
I like that, man. In essence, you're telling me, or you're telling us, that this is the reason we burn out right here, because we don't do that. We don't outline the things that we've been doing routinely to hand them off to someone else. We take on social, we take on flyer creation, we take on uploading the listing into the MLS, showing property, right? Dealing with contracts, going to the home, going to all of the inspections during the home escrow under contract, and then the follow up, and then setting up the events, and then doing the postcards. Dude, of course we're going to fail and burn out.
It's not sustainable. I think the burnout comes not necessarily from doing that stuff, but the result. So if willpower and discipline is only sustainable for a period of time, because you and I have both been in situations where we need to make money. So we get disciplined, our backs go against the wall, and we go out and we've generated business, right? But then that business comes in and we get distracted with doing the things that got us that business. And we close the business we generated, but now we're out of business. So now we have to seesaw back into it. And the stress of income going up and down, up and down, up and down without any predictability of what it is that we're doing. And it's still going to go up and down, but in a solopreneur, the income is like this. In a team, it should be like this, right? The swing should be significantly less.
Yeah.
And that stress, coupled
Mm.
by having a bad client or a bad agent on the other side, it just starts to become overwhelming. There is too much to do, and people start seeking an easier, softer way. But I've always found the easier, softer way is the hard thing to do first.
I agree with you, man. I agree with you. So you've got mindset, you've got hiring the right person. It's different for different people, right? Then outlining the SOPs. These are the things that should be done because I need to fire myself and step into something else and focusing on
Right.
maybe. So far, you guys help out with, in essence, you who we're hiring, right? So you build everything out. But if we're not hiring you to do all of the heavy lifting for us, what would be next as we're creating SOPs and stepping away from these things? Is that just a continual growth? Like, oh, finally, I hired an
Yeah.
ad, then a
Yeah.
TC, then a
We
marketing person.
Yeah, we have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pages of SOPs in our company. I mean, it just goes on and on and on and on and on. It's a never-ending process because as you grow, you come into new routines that you have to do. And one of our fundamentals, Tristan, is that a business is simply a group of repetitive routines that have to be done over and over and over again. You could look at any business. That's all it is. Starbucks, there's a routine of packing the food in and then serving drinks and food and then cleaning at the end. And you do that every single day. You can pretty much go through just about any business except maybe SpaceX that's inventing all the time, but maybe inventing and improving as a routine as well. I mean, who
Yeah.
knows?
Who knows, man? That's very true.
What do you think is, I mean, you've run a big team. You're currently running a big team. You got a new brokerage that you got going on. You've got to recruit people and bring people in. And
Mhm.
you can't do all of that. You're doing 19 different things, Tristan. So how are you building a team? How would you suggest?
I agree with you. I think if we want to grow for 2025 or any year, or even start now, we need to start looking at where our opportunities are to leverage. And sometimes, because we're all in so many different levels, like if I'm just starting off as an agent, that leverage is going to be just me taking time to learn skills because I just can't afford to hire someone. Take action, get business, get that experience going. And then once I'm in a position to do it, then I would hire someone. So I think for me, being very careful as to who we hire. And this is why I love your company. You take that piece for us, right? Because you already have vetted all the people. You've done this for a lot of years, right? And this is also why you only choose great agents. You're like, hey, we're not going to just choose some agent that's half-assing this. We don't want to work with them because it's a waste of our money. So I would say it's the same thing you're saying. I need to leverage and I need to pick the right people that can help me get to where we want to get to as a whole. But I think the challenge we find is exactly what you said earlier about why we burn out. It's sometimes the results take a little bit longer than we expected. And
Always, always.
yeah, there you go. They always take longer than we expected.
Yep.
And that's where our emotions get in the way. And we're like, well, is this even for me? Should I not? What am I doing this
So,
right?
so you're talking about the psychological behavior process of change that was developed by a couple of psychologists in the 1970s, and Alex Hormozy has been recently talking about it. When you start something new, you start off with uninformed optimism,
That's
right?
right.
And
Yeah.
then you get into it, and pretty soon you have informed pessimism. These are cycles that just about everybody goes through. It starts with relationships, right? You're like, this is the greatest girl ever. I'm going to marry her. And then 6 months in, she makes you upset. And all of a sudden, ooh, she's not everything that my mind was telling me because she's human. So you have informed pessimism. And then most people go down to a crisis of meaning, which basically has two choices. You can jump out of that relationship, jump out of that business, and go start something new where you have uninformed optimism again, which provides a dopamine hit. It's an addictive thing. We see a lot of people do it. Or you can go through the valley of despair, patience, and work. And eventually, people who stay in that valley to work out the problems that truly exist in any enterprise or any job or any relationship, you can get to a point where you have informed optimism and then achievement after that. And you can look it up. It's the emotional cycle of change. And let's see if I have the psychologist that created it. If you look up the emotional cycle of change, if you Google that, you will find it. And I think this is when we're meeting with agents, we start talking about this right away because we know everyone's going to get to a point where they go, I'm not sure this is working. Because anything of value takes tremendous time.
Yeah.
I mean, you didn't get to where you went through. Lab coats took off in the beginning, and then you guys had a major issue that came up, and you traversed that with a lot of skill and learned a lot and slowly worked through that. And now you've got this amazing reputation and businesses that you got going. I don't know anybody who doesn't like you, Tristan, but that's all hard work. That's all one step at a time. Each morning, getting up and tackling what you can that one day. We're getting off the topic of teams.
No, it's
I
all, dude, this is all under teams. That's why I love it. I mean, look, it takes personal struggles and change to get through this on a high level for everyone on the team as well as the team leader. Yeah, first off, I did put growwithfusion.com. I put your link up there just in case anybody's listening in that's not part of your organization already. Listen, we've got 1 minute, but if you've got a question, put it into the chat. I'd love to answer any question you've got, or James can pick it up. But most of the questions were having to do with the book that you mentioned, which we covered, and the psychologist you brought up as well, which was great. Deborah, we do see your hand up. What's up, Deborah? Nice to see you virtually. Don't worry, this is recorded, Deborah. We got you. This will be sent out to everyone who registered, and it'll go up so you can see it as well. We'll probably dice it up and and throw it into Instagram and YouTube Shorts with some of the cool stuff James said.
How long are we going for, Tristan? I don't even know.
Another minute. That's it.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Because I think we really talked on the base stuff, and we should be talking about the structures of actually bringing on agents and teams and compensation, which I have something that I developed about 20 years ago that works really well, that is different than what most people do. And I don't have enough time to get into it.
What is it called?
It's how we structure the team and how people get paid on the team, and then how to retain talent, which is a big issue. So one is making sure people are getting paid, creating a compensation model so that you can be profitable. As you know, a lot of people are doing Zillow, and so their CAC, which is client acquisition cost, is 40%, which is insane. No company can survive on a 40% CAC. So you have to be able to figure out how to pay everybody and still have a profit. And then to want to retain those people, because if you don't pay them enough and they don't have opportunity to grow inside your organization, they're going to come to my organization, or they're going to go to Tristan's organization or somebody else that is going to give them that opportunity and that income. And so I'm more than happy to share.
Let's do that. John said, I would really like to hear that. Please do another one. John, we will. It'll be part 2 to this. We're probably going to name it something along the lines of how you should structure a team. And I think that would be really good. James, let's do that, man.
Structure a team and compensation, and to be profitable.
Thank you for doing this, guys. Growwithfusion.com. Check them out. James is an amazing leader. Listen, we've been friends for a while. We have different styles, but we both lead at a high level. And I really love the way James does it. So James, thank you for being on, buddy.
Feelings. Thank you, Tristan. Appreciate it.
Thanks, everybody.
Hey there. That is our show for today. This has been another episode of Going For It with James B. I hope that you have found some of the information interesting, and that it is something that you can use and that you find valuable. We'll see you in the next episode. Have a great day.